Welcome to this video. So Angular 4 was released. What changed? What is new? Attached to this video you will find a couple of links leading to the official release notes and so on if you want to dive deeper. But now let me guide you through it. Basically, and that's the most important thing, Angular 4 doesn't change that much. Some under the hood changes, some improvements, performance improvements, but regarding the code you write, regarding your code, that should still all work. There shouldn't be any breaking changes. And that is great news because that means that your old code should continue to work with Angular 4. Now, why Angular 4 to begin with? The name simply has something to do with the way we should look at Angular, the framework as a whole. Angular 2 was a complete rewrite of Angular 1, and therefore we really talk about two different frameworks there. Now, the Angular team decided that the future should just be Angular, and Angular 1 is referred to as AngularJS. So that's a different framework, and Angular is the now-to-be-used framework. Angular 2 is the first part of that. Angular 4 simply is the next version. And why not Angular 3? Well, that simply happened because of some internal versioning conflicts, so they skipped the version 3 and moved right to version 4. It also means that we will see an Angular 5 probably around fall this year. We don't know what will be changed there, but for now, Angular 4 is the latest version, again mostly with some under the hood changes. So, since we mostly have under the hood changes, which new features do we have? Are there any? The answer is yes, we do have some new features. For example, regarding ngIf. In the past, with Angular 2, if you wanted to use ngIf with multiple conditions or specifically with an else clause, you would probably write it like this. Two ngIf statements, where in the second statement you simply check the opposite. Well, with Angular 4, you officially now have an else statement or an else clause you can put into your ngIf statement. It then looks like this. Might look more complex, but it is really simple. You wrap your alternative content in an ng template, a new component introduced with Angular 4, and this should replace any template, the HTML5 element you used in your Angular template. So in ng template, you wrap whatever you want to display optionally, alternatively, and you put a local reference on the ng template. And then you use that reference name in the else clause of ngIf, and that is a more convenient, or I guess a more logical way of creating an if-else block. Of course, the old way will still work and there is nothing wrong about using that. So that is one new feature we have. Another new feature, or some kind of a deprecated old feature I should say, is the new renderer. We already have the renderer in Angular 2. It looks like this, and we could, for example, use it to change the style here, the background color of an element. That's nice, and this feature generally still is available. But the old renderer, as you saw it here, was deprecated. Now we have renderer 2. It mostly offers the same methods. Some changed their name though. But generally it's the same. It was renamed because under the hood a lot changed. So we do have that new renderer. Now important, the old one will still work. I mentioned that there won't be any breaking changes. It simply is deprecated, so it will be removed sometime in the future. You may still continue using it. It won't be removed before Angular 5 probably. But if possible, switch to renderer 2, make sure to adjust your injection and your import, and have a look at the official docs for renderer 2 to find out how the methods you used to use now are named and now work. Generally though, it should work the same as before. That was one deprecated and 50% new feature, something like that. Now let's have a look at a totally new feature, and that is the email validator. In the past, in Angular 2, if you had an input field which should hold the email address, you probably used the pattern validator together with some regular expression to check whether the user entered a valid email address. With Angular 4, there now is simply an email validator. You can drop the email directive on your input, or when using the reactive approach, import it, use it from this validators class you use there for all the validators, and you're good to go. Behind the scenes, this basically does the same you did before with the pattern validator, but it's a more convenient way of using this. Of course, the pattern validator is still there if you want to use it for any other pattern, but for emails, this is the more convenient way now. These are the most important new features we have. All the other new features are again under the hood changes. For example, that now you may use TypeScript 2. Before that, only TypeScript 1.8 was supported. And you can have a look at these TypeScript release notes to find out which new features TypeScript 2 offers, and if that's interesting for you, if you want to use any of these new features. Again, that's purely an option, nothing you have to change here. Another change was, as mentioned earlier, the flat modules, which make importing a bit easier behind the scenes, or specifically which allow your build tool to tree shake your code, which means remove any code you don't really use. So again, under the hood improvement. And we have some deprecations. Deprecations, as mentioned earlier, simply means these features will be removed in the future, but not right now. So you may continue using them. And if you never upgrade to Angular 5 then, well, they are never removed. So what was deprecated then? Well, mostly two things. The renderer, which I already mentioned with this new renderer now being available, and the animations package. Now that's an important change. Prior to Angular 4, so in Angular 2, you imported all the triggers, states, styles, and so on, so all these functions from @Angular core. Now you do the same from @Angular animations. The general syntax didn't change, but the way you import them changed. You have a new separate package for animations now. Now you also have to add a module to your app module. You have to import it, the browser animations module, which is then imported from this path here, from @Angular platform browser /animations. That is another deprecation we have. And with that, the other new features and only under the hood breaking changes which shouldn't affect your code, that is Angular 4. So as you see, for you as a developer, not that many important changes which affect your code. Nice changes which should affect the performance and size of your application in the end, at least once all your tools are ready to pick up this tree shaking feature and so on. And therefore, really a nice release. The evolution of Angular, I guess we can really look forward to Angular 5 in fall then. Maybe more new features then, we'll see. But for now, this is it. Key takeaways. Your apps should continue to work. You don't need to change anything. If you don't want to, you can use the new features like the renderer or ngFLs. You don't have to. If you used animations, you may use the new packages. The old ones still work. That is what deprecated means. You definitely will need to change something in fall when Angular 5 comes out and you want to upgrade to it. But for Angular 4, no steps are required from your side. Of course, you may upgrade or may implement the changes I mentioned here and use the new features. I hope this was helpful. See you in other videos. Bye.
Peace.